Welcome to the Flymen Fishing Show, where we talk fly fishing, fly tying, and everything in between. I'm your host, Scotty Davis. So today we are talking with Jess Westbrook, the founder of the Mayfly Project, Arkansas fishing guide, and one of the most stellar humans on the planet.
I don't know about that, Scotty. I don't know about that.
Well, people have spoken. So how did the Mayfly Project get started for you guys?
Yeah, so that's a great question, Scotty. So fly fished nearly my entire life, but it wasn't until 7 years ago, my first son was born, that I started using fly fishing as a healing tool. So when Case was born, I really started dealing with anxiety and panic attacks, which is something I'd never really dealt with. I don't know if it was just the lack of sleep and excess caffeine or what happened, right? But like it was this perfect combination of stuff. And I started dealing with really intense anxiety. And like I said, it started literally 7 days after Case was born, and was real intense for about a year or so. And during that year, I was missing a ton of work. I lost like 30 pounds. I looked great, right? But it wasn't good the way I lost it. During that time, there was a local fishing guide. His name was Chris Morris, and I'd met him probably 2 weeks before Case was born, and I really looked up to him. Right, he was like 10 years older, big streamer fisherman. I wanted to get into streamer fishing, Chris started inviting me to go fishing with him. And every time Chris would go, even though I'd fly fished my entire life, I really wanted to go because I looked up to Chris. And I noticed every time I was out on the water that my anxiety and panic and all that stuff just disappeared. Right. So that was the first time I realized that there was the healing, with fly fishing. And I knew I wanted to give back using fly fishing. I just didn't know how. And one Sunday at church, my wife and I were sitting there and they were talking about foster kids. And, I guess just growing up as like a middle-class white guy, right? Like I didn't know about that or didn't realize, I'm like, oh man, these kids like don't have parents, and I was talking to Laura, and so I was like, that's what I want to do. I want to take foster kids fly fishing. And Laura was like, all right, let's do it. And so we started taking kids, and it was really, it was hard to get into the first, when we first started doing it, people were like, what do you mean you want to take kids fishing? Why do you want to do this? And so trying to get access to those kids was hard at first. And so started doing that and did that for about a year, and then decided to start the Mayfly Project. And about 4 months after we started, I met a lady out of Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and her name is Caitlin. And Caitlin has a background in like mental health and foster care. So I have a business background, and my wife is an attorney. So when we added Caitlin to the team, that was kind of the perfect piece to the puzzle, right? So Kate came on, and when Kate reached out, she was like, "Man, this is I've been taking foster kids too," and I was like, "Caitlin, I'm pretty sure we're the only two people on the face of the planet that think this is cool." And she was like, "We should try to do this." I'm like, "Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll let's see what happens." And here we are 6 years later, and 52 projects in 30 states and one in the United Kingdom. So that's kind of a little bit about the way it got started, and I guess how fast it's expanded.
That's incredible.
So it's been wild.
How did you link up with the lady from Idaho?
Yeah, so we basically we had our logo designed by Andrea Larco out of Pennsylvania. She's an amazing artist, and when our logo hit social media, Caitlin reached out to Andrea and was like, "Hey, what's this?" And Andrea said, "Well, it's this, it's Jess and Laura out of Arkansas that are taking foster kids." And she's like, "Oh man." So Caitlin was literally the first person to reach out to me. And oddly enough, Kate's, Kate's co-founder of the Mayfly Project and works full time now, so so it was just social media, power of social media for sure.
Very cool. So it started for you in Arkansas. Most of the projects you started with were Arkansas kids?
Yeah. So the very first, I guess, year as the Mayfly Project, we just had those two projects in Arkansas and Idaho, and Caitlin and I kind of spent developing everything from, we have buttons that our kids can earn, and we have a curriculum, and just kind of writing all of this encompassing stuff to be able to replicate, the Mayfly Project very easily. First year was just in Arkansas and Idaho, and then kind of expanded after that.
So the other states, those are people that wanted to get involved that are inspired by you guys. So they would contact you, and you kind of help set them up and
Yeah, that's exactly right. So, all of our lead mentors, kind of contact us, and we just kind of help them set it up and say, okay, here's the plan, here's how the program works. And we have Caitlin's really good at I'll say she has a background in development, and so we've kind of made these things where it's easy for people to replicate, right? So we have all these handbooks, and I kind of jokingly mentioned to Caitlin, like, hey, like let's write another manual on it. You know what I mean? So we're very good at I guess maybe trying to be able to replicate stuff. And so that's kind of, like I said, most of the time it's just people reach out on social media and whatnot, and like, hey, we would love to mentor some foster kids in our area. And so that's just kind of how things, I guess, replicate.
Yeah. And you said that it helped you a lot with your anxiety. These kids, have anxiety like a lot of us don't realize and don't understand. It's got to help them a ton.
Yeah, that's right. A lot of our kids are just like our veterans, right? So Project Healing Waters does amazing work, and they've been amazing mentors to us as well. Our kids have PTSD and anxiety and RADS, which is reactive attachment disorder. They have all of these different things just from going through the trauma of their childhood and being taken away from their parents. Obviously they're removed from their home for very good reasons, right? But like I said, they tend to have dealt with a lot of trauma, and so we're a firm believer. The same reason our veterans need this and breast cancer survivors need this. These kids in foster care need this.
Yeah, a friend of mine, I think you know him too, Jay Johnson, had started that hashtag that fly fishing saved lives. And that's such a true straight statement, as you can attest to.
That's exactly right.
Told me to take a day, by the way, and get your foosball game ready.
That's right. Yeah, Jay's a good dude. We met him at, I think, one of the TU rendezvous for the kids. What is like the Costa? What is that thing they do with TU that Pig Farming comes and helps with?
We river cleanups and iron fly and all that stuff.
Yeah, we met him at one of those. He's a super cool guy, and he's got some ties to foster care as well.
Yeah, for sure.
So he was in foster care.
What are the age groups that you most likely are seeing?
We normally say that we'll accept kids, 8 to 18. Most of our kids that run through our program, I would say are, 12 to 18 years old. Most time older kids, approximately there's, any given time, there's 425,000 foster kids in the system at any given time. A lot of the younger ones have a really good opportunity or chance to be adopted, and the older ones typically not. So we see a lot of like older kids, getting ready to age out and be out on their own. So we hope that they, take fly fishing and use it as a tool, be addicted to something good, right? Versus being addicted to something bad.
Right. And you said like age out, like a lot of people don't realize, like once these kids hit 18 and out of the foster care system, they're completely on their own.
That's right.
They're dealing with their whatever they have. So
that's right. There are some states, that help with like transition. They call them like in Arkansas, we have like TLP houses, like transitional living, houses. And so there are some states, but yeah, you're exactly right. Scott, like they age out and they're on their own and typically don't have any support. And so again, same reason we use fly fishing and I used to deal with my anxiety, man. We just hope they pour their hurts, habits, and hangups into something good, Yeah.
And do the kids approach you guys? How do you pick who gets in the programs?
So normally we like to work with group homes in our states. So, group homes are basically, just like it sounds, houses with a bunch of foster kids in it. So we normally approach group homes and try to work with them. And, oddly enough, we have tons of support, right? Like we typically have more mentors than we have kids, most of the time. Like getting kids sometimes can be a challenge. So we kind of always say that, we feel like the Mayfly Project's a perfect storm. We feel like fly fishermen are the most caring people on the planet, right? Like super passionate. And we feel like foster kids, kids without parents are, one of our most vulnerable populations. So we connect, the most passionate people, I feel like, on the face of the planet with the most vulnerable population. Some good things happen. So most of the time, we have more mentors than kids, so that's a good thing.
That is a good thing. And you have lots of big companies. I know TU helps you guys a good bit.
Yep. So, we get tons of great support. Like TU has been super generous, and they supply like all of our kids with free TU memberships. Like in the back of their curriculum that our kids get, there's like a little form they can fill out where they get their own free TU membership, and we have great companies like Loon. Loon's been a huge supporter. Orvis, Cortland. Honestly, every company that we seem to approach is just like, man, this is awesome. So we had all the companies seem to really buy into this. It's super cool.
That is awesome. That is awesome. So are you from this area? You're from Arkansas yourself?
Yep. So I'm from Arkansas, born and raised in Benton, Arkansas, and that's where I currently live. Some pretty good, we got the Little Red and the White River, great rivers to fish, good brown trout, so love it over here.
Nice. Are most of your programs trout based, or is there like bass side of it? Or
oh yeah, so that's a good question. So we really try to connect our kids to their local ecosystems, right? So we get lots of opportunities, and we're grateful to go fish private water, but also like if there's a pond right down the street, like we got to teach those kids how to fish that pond, right? Yeah. Like we need them to be able to fish readily accessible water. So our goal is to connect them to local ecosystems. And so we have some Florida projects, right, who are primarily saltwater based. So I would say anywhere there's a fish, right, is where we take our kids, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, I was talking with Martin this morning. We're going to supply you guys with a shit ton of poppers, so you won't have any.
Oh, yeah. No.
After this.
Dude, that would be awesome. Yeah, no, because we do, like here in Arkansas, we focus mainly on warm water, and then the last one we go fish for trout. So yeah, man, we need poppers. That'd be awesome. We appreciate you guys for that.
I'm excited to do it.
Yeah.
How long would a typical project run for a kid?
Yeah, so we typically, our projects are 5 outings within a 6-month window. So that 6-month window is both for, and the 5 outings is both for the kids as much as the mentors, so the kids know there's a start and stop to the program. So in those 5 outings, we teach them everything from casting, fly tying, conservation. We have all of these pieces to our program. And then on the last outing, our mentors supply them with everything they need to fly fish on their own. So when they leave the program, they get their own fly rod, their own pack, flies, tippet, split shot indicators, hemostats, all that good stuff. So, we have a bunch of foster kids running around with fully decked out.
I was watching the video y'all did about Frankie and
yes,
fighting back my tears. I was when he was talking about going back and teaching everybody what he had learned.
Yeah.
Paying it forward at that point. That was incredible.
Yeah. Frankie's an amazing kid. We've actually, Frankie got adopted after that video. We've done a few videos like that, just kind of focusing on kids. And honestly, like we hear some crazy stories about just the way that kids end up in foster care, and then also just the cool things that happen afterwards. So a couple of weeks ago, I heard a story about, some Colorado mentors were like running up the river, and they saw this girl just like railing fish, and they went up, and it was a mentor from last year, or mentee from last year. I'm sorry.
Oh, really?
Yes. Yeah. So our kids, tend to keep fishing, and, it's really cool to see that.
So have you seen any kids leave the program and come back and volunteer, or try to do the same thing, try to help other people?
Yeah, so that's a good question. We have had a few kids come back and kind of be like junior mentors, and we've had several kids who have went through the program multiple times. Like we had one kid here in Arkansas that went through the program I think 4 times. Jokingly, like if they go through and they get all their stuff the first time, their fly rod, their pack, their flies, if they go through a second time, we typically get them waders. The third time we got Gavin like fly tying stuff, and the 4th time I literally jokingly was like, okay, I guess we're gonna have to get Gavin a boat. Like I don't know what else we're gonna do. The dude, like Gavin shows up to the outings like strapped with like fly rods and all this stuff. I'm like, Gavin, like you got more fly fishing stuff than I do, man. It's crazy.
How old is he?
So he just got adopted probably like 6 months ago. So I bet he's 15 now, but yeah, we do have some kids that'll come back and help out and teach other kids. It's really cool to see, like, even our kids like Gavin, who've been through the program multiple times, like, to help kids, when we're not there, right? Like, kids will be like, oh yeah, Gavin helped me do this. We were fishing on the pond last week or whatever. So it's cool to see those kids handing down that information, just like we do as fly fishermen, right? Like, try to help other fly fishermen out.
Do you see a lot of them gravitate towards fly tying?
So that's a good question. We do have some that gravitate towards it. I don't think it's as much as fishing, obviously, but I know, like, we had like Gavin and Braden. Braden's another kid that comes to mind when I'm thinking about kids, just that we've mentored here in Arkansas, right? Like, I'm sure there's projects, who could name kids by name too. But I know Braden, like, was really into tying for a long time. So we do have, kids that really gravitate to it. I don't think it's as much as fishing, but just kind of like us as fly fishermen, right? We have tires, and we have some people who don't tie and fish, so kind of find the same, I guess, in our kids.
Yeah, that's cool. You said y'all taught them a lot of conservation stuff too, or teach them conservation?
Yeah, so we focus on 3 areas of conservation. So we focus on keeping our rivers clean. We focus on contamination, so preventing the spread of aquatic invasive species, right? So washing our boots, washing our boats. And then we focus on catch and release. So those are kind of our 3 main things that we focus on. So the way that we kind of hit on those conservation pieces is like I was mentioning the buttons earlier, Scotty, about, like, our kids can earn buttons much like Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts. So we have 9 buttons they can earn. And some of those buttons, are demonstrating proper catch and release tactics, right? Like, we have this crazy looking plastic fish that we provide our kids, and we teach them how to hold them and don't squeeze them, and, all that good stuff. So focus on proper catch and release tactics, and they can earn a button. And then we have a keep our rivers clean button, which they earn by picking up, I think, 5 pieces of trash during an outing. So we partner with Fish Pond to provide our kids with those little pile pods, whatever they're called. So we provide them with that, and so when they pick up 5 pieces of trash, they earn that button. And then washing our boots, we have we work with an environmental scientist out of Maryland named Katie, and so she kind of helped us develop a game to identify aquatic invasive species, right? Like zebra mussels, didymo, whirling disease, all of that stuff, and just how to prevent them, right? By washing our boots and keeping all that stuff clean. So we kind of teach our kids that, and they do this fun game where they get to earn that button. So they basically, like, fish in this bucket, and then they match it up to the aquatic invasive species. And so that's kind of how we teach that stuff. So yeah, so those are our 3 main things of conservation that we focus on. We're fixing to, I think, start working with Science on the Fly. I don't know if you've heard of those guys. They're out of Colorado. Basically, they're taking, like, river samples. So we've been talking to them back and forth about how would we implement this across the Mayfly Project. Could we be a sampling, I'm not gonna say facility or outlet for them, right? Like, have our kids sample rivers, So that's another piece we're thinking about working on.
Yeah, they would probably be really into that, especially if they could go with the water to the lab and see how it actually works, what they're doing.
Yeah. No, we think they'd love that stuff. We have an entomology section, right, where they can kind of, like, earn a button by picking up rocks and identifying, the bugs on the rocks. But yeah, I think the sampling part of it would be really fun, and kind of have some ownership of, like, okay, we're going to sample this, and how did, now I'm not a scientist, right? So don't get me lying, but how did these levels change, and what does this mean, and all of that good stuff. So we think that'd be pretty fun. So we're talking to those guys, seeing if we can work something out.
That's cool. Be cool to have, like, a once a year, like, get together where you get all the 30 states or everybody involved and do, like, a big, like, expo camp out type thing.
Oh yeah, that would be super cool. We'd love that. We would love that. That'd be awesome.
Around the country with a bunch of kids might be.
That's right. As long as I'm not in charge of all of them, that'd be great.
Have you been fishing out lately? Is it good over there?
Yeah. So I've been fishing a little bit lately. I guide a little bit part-time. So I had a guide trip this last weekend. We have a creek up in North Arkansas called Dry Run Creek. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's a creek that's specially for kids and also people with disabilities. And so it's this creek that runs out of the hatchery, it runs into the North Fork. It's maybe like a half mile long or so. And dude, there are some just stud fish in it. I mean, I literally, I watched a kid beside us pull out a rainbow that had to have been, 27, 28 inches. That was like as big around as, I don't know, a Home Depot bucket. The thing was like, it was crazy. So I've been fishing a little bit. Like I said, I'm a big tot liner. That's my thing. Like I love to Euronaught. So that's just what I'm into.
Right. What do you guide for mainly?
So mainly, I do trips on the Little Red, just float trips, day trips, just of course targeting rainbow and brown trouts. And that's kind of and kids on dry run. Like I love, there's nothing better than fishing with kids. Like I love fishing with kids so much.
And how old's your son now?
So he's 7. He's 7. So I had him this weekend tight lining on dry run, and I was kind of laughing because we could see all these huge fish laying there, right? And I was telling Case, I was like, Case, come up here and fish for these. He's like, no, I just want to catch these little guys, right? And I'm like, man, that's exactly what I do too, right? Like he's all about numbers. He doesn't care how big they are. He's over there just tight lining, just getting after it.
You have lots of rivers to fish near where you live, or do you have to travel for them?
So most of our stuff is tailwaters, or I guess everything we really fish is tailwater. So year round, Little Red is probably an hour and a half for me. And then we have some other, kind of seasonal stalkers right in the winter that we can fish that are about an hour away. So we fish like the Little Missouri, which is really fun. It's technically a tailwater. There could be some fish that'll hold over. It does get a little bit warm. And then another favorite place I like to go to is Hockatown, Oklahoma, which is the lower Mountain Fork River below Broken Bow Lake. And it's about 2 hours for us. And it's a really cool, I'll say southern river, really, it looks like you're in Colorado, right? But you're in the middle of Oklahoma. So it's pretty cool.
Like a desert southern Colorado look.
Yeah. It's super, like the gradient's just crazy there, like here, or most of the rivers we fish, like the Little Red has a lot of like long, slower pools. And this is like, the gradient is crazy. So it's a lot of pocket water, I guess that's my closest pocket water that I like to fish,
What got you into Euro nymphing?
Yeah. So really that story is not as good. So I was trying to I wanted to go fish the Soquee in Georgia, and I saw there was like, so I was looking at all these places to go fish for Laura and I to go fish over there. And the fees were like a little crazy, and I was like, I saw there was a tournament on there, like a Euro like a competition, and I was like, oh. So I signed Laura and I up for it, not knowing anything about it, right? Like not knowing I had to have, for the competition, like special leaders or anything. And so it was like $125, right? Versus like $1,000 to get on a good section of river. So that's how I got into it, was, trying to figure out a cheap way to fish the Soquee, if that makes sense.
Where did you fish?
Well, so it's funny, it actually got canceled because the water was low. So, I figured out how to tight line, what all the rules were, for this competition. So I figured it all out in practice, and then it got canceled like a month out. So I didn't actually get to fish it. So I still haven't fished it yet. Yeah.
Were you looking at Brigadoon or Black Hawk, one of those places?
Yeah, I think it was on Black Hawk, if I remember right. Like I said, the Georgia fly fishing team was the one hosting it. Like, Ben and them, and like I said, it got canceled because the water was super low, or and so we didn't end up getting to do it. But that's kind of how I initially figured out or started to get into it.
Yeah. So that there is a little public section of that river.
Oh, I did not know that.
About a half a mile. It might be a quarter of a mile.
Okay.
But all those expensive, like you said, expensive landowners that rent their rod fees out, they feed the shit out of those fish.
Yeah, right.
But as soon as you get a good rain and the rain levels come up, those fish are running constantly through that public section.
Oh, okay.
Big
Okay.
black leeches, big ugly stuff down at the
Okay.
bottom. Will do
Yeah.
really good.
Lots of junk flies. That's what I'm about, Scotty. Lots of junk flies.
Sand wands and
That's right. Mops. Give me some mops.
there
You
you
know.
go. That's the craziest fly to me. I mean, it worked. It's damn effective, but
Yeah,
to
it
come up with
is.
that little tail like that was brilliant.
That's right. That's right.
So people that are listening, if they wanted to mentor a group, or they just want to donate time or money or what, how would they go about doing that? Contact you guys directly?
Yeah, totally. So, so we actually have, it's just the mayflyproject.com. It's not .org. You just go to the mayflyproject.com. We have like an interactive map that can show you like if there's a project near you. So just kind of go in, you could select a project that you would like to mentor for, or, there is a place to start a new project. So yeah, you just kind of fill that out. We interview all the mentors. We do 3 references. So when you list your 3 references, we do actually check them and call them and make sure that you are who you say they are. And then we do a background check and just kind of get everybody plugged in. So that's the best way if you want a mentor to kind of get a hold of us. If you have I'll say a special talent, right? Like time flies, or want to donate time some other way. We have like a contact us thing on our website that you can fill out a form, or you can just send me an email, Jess at the mayflyproject.com. Kind of get you plugged in that way, or money. We have a cool feature on our website that allows you to donate to specific projects, right? So, Scotty, if you're in North Carolina, you want to donate to a North Carolina project, you can actually select that project and donate directly to it. So, that your monies are going to kids in your state. So we take that really serious. We think it's important to, if a donor thinks their money's going to that state, we want to make sure that it stays in that state. So those are kind of like you said, 3 ways you can give back, and pretty much do them all through our website.
You said you had a program in England. Is that what they did? They approached you guys like, hey, we want to do it over here.
Yeah, no, it's really funny you asked that. The lady that runs the project over in London, her name is Susan Scrupa. I call her Supa Scrupa, right? Like, she's amazing. So she approached us wanting to start a project, and we were like, oh yeah, sure, it'll be super easy, right? Like to do it. And oddly enough, taking something internationally is not very easy. Not that we were mistaken with that, but after a year, we just got the nonprofit status. Miss Susan did probably like a month ago. It took forever to get it. In the U.S., it's a little bit it's a little bit easier to get it in the U.S. In the U.K. it was pretty wild. But yeah, so Miss Susan, she's got mentors that finally got their approval from the United Kingdom. So they're going to be mentoring kids this fall. We're super excited about that. Caitlin and I had a meeting with somebody from Australia yesterday about starting a project in Australia. And they were asking, they were like, it's a little bit different down here. Like, we have to worry about crocodile safety. And I'm like, crocodiles? Like, we don't have a crocodile safety section in our curriculum, yet, I guess, So yeah, it's super cool to just, have those people approach you from different places, or different countries, and care about foster kids and want to do it.
So you're global now.
I mean, I don't know. I guess, I guess.
Well, thank you, dude, for what you do. It's really amazing and humbling what you guys do.
Well, it's, honestly, Scotty, like it's definitely our mentors. Like, I definitely give all the credit to them, right? Like, they're, granted, Kate and I will help stuff get up and going, but man, we have 900 mentors across the U.S. that really do the work. You know what I mean? And we do too. Like, my favorite part's obviously mentoring, like I said, but our mentors and our lead mentors really are boots on the ground, like getting it done. So I definitely want to give all that credit to them. They're the ones doing the work for sure.
Do you still get to go out and mentor kids, or you?
Oh yeah. So we have a Central Arkansas project. It's technically split into 2 projects now, but yeah, I still lead our Central Arkansas project. And, I actually find that, no offense, Scotty, but like the podcasts, all that stuff are cool. Right. But like when I actually, get to go out and be with kids, like I mean, that's where it's at. A story about, we mentored a couple weeks ago. There was a kid there, and he was fishing with one of our mentors named Jay. And the kid, Jay was like, man, the kid's name, I think, what's his name? It was Eli. So he said to Eli, he was like, hey, Eli, you're a really cool kid. And he was like, Eli responded, he was like, well, the kids at school don't think so. And Jay was like, well, what do you mean? And Eli was like, well, the kids at school don't think I'm cool. And Jay was like, well, let me tell you something. He's like, I've spent all afternoon with you, and those kids at school are wrong. And, honestly, like, when you hear stories like that, Scotty, like, that just really increases that drive. It's like, okay, that is why we are here. You know what I mean? Like, Eli needed to hear that day, so yeah, man, it's, in my opinion, us getting out and mentoring that's the best thing I do. You know what I mean? For sure.
Great.
Yeah.
Great, man. So, got any travel plans once COVID lifts?
Oh man. Yeah.
Did it get bad again in Arkansas?
Yeah, it's a little wonky right now. So, we're trying to do stuff fairly safe. Like, when we did our outing last week or 2 weeks ago, we had fly tying tables set up, but they were, far apart. And, we had the kids and mentors broken up into different sections, and all our mentors wore masks. So, our kids definitely still need to get out during this time. I feel like that's super important. They need that, just like, I don't know if I feel when I get cooped up and I don't fish for too long, it does weird things to me, right? Like, I'm a better husband, a better father, everything when I get out and fish.
Like grinding for me, I'll go plumb.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, we don't really have a whole lot on the books, obviously trying to see, what shows are going to look like in 2022, see if anything's going to happen. I know the Virginia Fly Fishing Festival is talking about, kicking off in January. So just trying to play all that by ear, right? Like we're good at playing stuff by ear, I guess. Did
you go to that Texas beer festival that Bo did as well?
I didn't. We ended up having an exposure right before the show, and I couldn't end up going. But I would really like to go this year, as long as it looks like, as long as everything looks like it's going to play out good,
And you've done IFTD in the past, right?
I haven't done IFTD. We did some of the fly fishing shows, like we did one in New Jersey, and then we've had mentors, like we had mentors at the one in Denver, and stuff like that. But I haven't done IFTD yet.
That's a good one. That would put it into the light of all the manufacturers and things like that. So
okay, yeah, we'll have to look into that. I think that got canceled for this year. Yeah.
It's like a high school reunion with people you want to see,
That's right. I gotcha. Okay.
Canceled
it. Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, our school shut down here.
Really?
My kids' school shut down from numbers, and I thought it would be okay because my wife's a teacher too. But then her school didn't shut down until like 2 days ago. So now I have
gotcha.
learning virtually. I have a wife teaching virtually.
Oh my goodness,
it's brutal,
dude. I feel for you. I know that's hard.
Only respect for teachers.
That's right. Yeah, they're amazing. There's no doubt about that.
Cool. Well, I know you're busy as shit, man. I'll let you get back to it.
I appreciate it for sure. I appreciate you guys having us on and for y'all's support.
Again,
no doubt.
I tell you every day, thank you for what you're doing.
We appreciate you guys. Like I said, it takes a village, right? Like it takes everybody from you guys helping us out with poppers to mentors. Like I said, it takes a village. So, man, we appreciate y'all.
Absolutely. I'll email you in a minute with your address.
Okay, that sounds great, Scotty.
All right, man. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff.